Today we're going to break down how to increase punch power. Okay? And we'll try to classify all the disciplines of punching, okay? Meaning all its components. That is, we will analyze it from the very beginning to the very end. There you go. Now look, to increase your punch power, the first thing is to break down the technique very clearly. You're experiencing a lag between the key links in the chain. You don't have a proper transition, meaning there's no drive and no rotational movement. Your arm movement is very good. Your shoulder is strong. It comes out well. Right here, look, there's a really good setup. When you throw your hip from one leg to the other, fix the handle like this so that I can see it. There you go. And get up on your toes, get up on your toes. So that this movement is visible. So that it serves exactly as the accelerating part of the strike. Very good. Just be careful, don't fold your leg. The result of your correct rotation is simply the lifting of your foot. Then comes, well, the rotation, and the rotation happens in the shoulders. Here's a very important point. If we're talking about increasing the power of a punch, mostly, hold up the pads. Mostly people punch like this. See, right here, this is the shoulder system. If you only bring the punch this far, its power is limited. But if you start to rotate your shoulder further, just bring your shoulder forward. That's why, first of all, I focus on the system that works from above. Until you can get this shoulder to come out from the top like this. If you look at it this way, so this is your system. This is the first part that you managed to do. But the only thing is your shoulder stops somewhere around the middle. It doesn't go any further than that. That's why one of the first things is when you start shifting your body weight and start pulling your shoulder toward the tip of your foot. There you go. Just don't lose your balance, because there's an important point about balance. Here, go ahead. See, the balance? Try to knock me off balance. In this position. See how it is? So I folded my torso. 1, 1, 1, 1. The moment of stability should be, well, significantly higher, because you see the supporting leg that you push off with, the push-off leg onto the supporting leg, that's when the stabilization happens. Your whole body is already on that leg. There. Now look at what happens with the leg, because the shoulder moves over the toe. The leg turns in, but it turns into a natural position. So if you start twisting your leg in some way, first of all, your strike will just completely fall apart. You won't have any support at all. So you just, well, how do I put it? With a strong movement of your arm, you'll throw yourself off balance. That's why, to avoid this, you first drive your hip and shoulder, and the leg will turn in by itself. In the original strong, straight right punch, there's no such thing as the leg pushing, as the hip twisting, isn't? And then catching the shoulder, or anything like that. There's no such thing. All your links, everything works simultaneously. So if you were to, well, how should I say, do a close-up, the impulse transfers so quickly from your leg to your hand that you can't even see the transition. You just see a single movement, the one you shoot out. Just one movement. See, it's like it's together, it merges. But the push really does come from the leg. But to set your leg up for the push, you first need to understand how the hand works. Because the hand gives the direction. The leg is the power. See how precise it is. There it is. And here, this is the natural, well, or curvature of the body along the line of the strike. Again, why is this necessary? It's so that you don't lose your balance. That's why just a little bit, when you bring your shoulder forward, your body bends. That is, it leans a bit to the side. You can throw a straight punch, but it's best when it goes slightly to the side. There are a lot of ways to add power. For example, when you move your leg slightly to the side. It allows you to put your shoulder in even more. In other words, it lets you engage even more muscles in the punch. But this punch isn't very fast. It's very powerful, but not very fast. But a fast punch is all about instant transfer. So look, for this part, just stop it completely. You can only rotate it a little bit. There you go. Turn your leg in just a bit more. Yeah, just like that. You have a straight line going from here, pop, passing through your elbow. When you practice and develop the punch itself, the elbow straightens out. But in a fight, sometimes your elbow might not straighten all the way. But you need to understand that the straight line will still go like this. You see what I mean? So that there's no break in the line. Because look, yours is going perfectly straight right now. Bring it in just a little closer. Now, bring your hands in closer to yourself. Now hit me right here with your shoulder, with your shoulder. There it is. You see? One more time. With the shoulder. Yes, with your shoulder. That's good. Reach out as far as you can in this part. Okay? If you go any further, that's it. The movement is already over. That's the movement. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And there's another point here too. How should I put it? It's just a human thing. If you want to hit hard, well, I don't know. I couldn't find an explanation for this in any manual, unfortunately. But when a person throws a strong punch, they go toward the ground. So you see, there's this kind of movement. That is, you do it from the top down. There's an explanation for it, something like a falling part. So the body kind of collapses downward. The muscles sort of bunch up into a single knot, and so on and so forth. Everyone does this same movement, aiming downward. Don't move your body yet, just use your arm. Look, see, these are exactly the stabilizing muscles. Your arm is really floating in the shoulder. So, if you really want to strengthen your punch, you need to reinforce this link. The shoulder joint, that is the whole area where the scapula connects, because your first punch goes straight and precise. But the second punch already starts to go a bit off to the side, a bit off to the side, a bit upward. So you need to catch this small target.
Doesn't it come from the legs?
It's not from the legs. It's not from the legs. We haven't even gotten to the legs yet. So the first part that you release, if all your muscles are perfectly trained, properly strengthened, then you can perform the movement precisely even with your eyes closed. It won't go off anywhere. It won't go off. In a fight, you'll have it both under tension and without tension. Achieving the perfect strike in a fight takes years of practice in developing your punch. The movement itself that you do is actually very simple. And the essence of this movement is that it should take the shortest possible path. This movement here is the simplest one. That is a straight punch, or let's say a straight punch. You throw from the right. Well, if your stance is reversed, then you throw it from the left. So you have both the left and the right punch. You see? The point is to find that shortest distance. And it's not always the shortest distance, like the way we're standing right now. Very often in a fight, I swear, there is always some kind of movement. Either you try to move to the side and you reach the head by the shortest possible distance, or you do it with some defensive movement, for example. As you rise up, you throw the shortest punch. That's the trick. It's just practice. And practice starts from the very beginning, as they say, with these preparatory movements that come from the legs. But coordinating your legs and arms, if you've never thrown a punch before, in short, is absolutely impossible. So that's mistake number one. When a beginner comes in and you start telling them, punch from the legs, punch from the legs. He'll never in his life punch from the legs, because the direction of your muscles starts from the arm. Until this part starts working, you won't understand how to extend it, this part. Because that's the second part, extending the punch. Because the longer your punch is, for example, you take the acceleration phase and start to amplify it with a step. It's really simple. You take a small step, shifting exactly 1 foot forward, precisely in the direction of your arm's movement. Or you do it with a jump that gives you even more power. It multiplies, you know? It multiplies. That's why the first part you need to practice. is the movement of your shoulder. Because once again, this is what limits everyone. They throw punches, you see, and everything is restricted. All your power stays in your shoulder blade. So push it further, further, and further. And that natural bending position of the torso will actually enhance it because of the way the muscles on your back are arranged. They amplify your movement through the shoulder blade. There's also this point people make. The shoulder strikes, the shoulder pushes forward. So from a muscular perspective, the shoulder doesn't have any pushing movements. None at all. It only serves a stabilizing function. The scapula has a small pushing component. That's where the entire thrust comes from, right here. Now compare the muscles that push your scapula, the ones that push your shoulder, and the flexors and extensors. Which part will be faster? Pushing out with the scapula or pushing out with the arm?
The scapula.
No, the arm. So the fastest movement is this one. This movement is slower, because there are fewer muscles involved and less amplification. So that's why they compensate by leaning. Do you understand? When you lean, your shoulder already starts to come forward, come out, and stabilizing the movement of the scapula. And these extensor muscles starts with you first beginning to pull your arm. See how it kind of pops out right away? There it is. But if you do this movement, it already slows down. Do you understand? You can do this quickly, but this part already slows down. So to really accelerate it well, you need to understand that your shoulder comes all the way out. That's when you'll get a push. When one system pushes out, the other pulls and immediately brings it back. That's all there is to it. There you go. That's how it works. At medium distance, it's very powerful. But if you, for example, get a little closer, the whole system will fall apart. It will break down. That's why they say there's no short, straight punch in close combat. Or rather there is, but it's thrown in a completely different way. In this technique, you lean your back, pull out your elbow, and then using your body tilt and stabilization, well, your arms have to be very strong. You push through. So, in this part, you're doing everything with your body, or you're doing it with your shoulder blade and shoulder. It's more of a shoulder strike. At medium range, I'll say it again, it's this system. Until you stabilize it, you'll have problems with balance. Because, let me say it again, let me show you one thing. Here's one moment. This is an unstable moment. A stable moment is when you're already pressing down on this leg, because now you have support here. So, when you push your shoulder forward, I can see the arm right here, in the direction of the strike. That's why you get this. Long movement, and at the same time, it's not really long yet. You make it longer by bending your torso into the punch. That's another part that adds power to it. Again, you only use one hand so that it can move freely. And why do you use the pad?
Yes.
Because you get more sensations here. If I have you work on the heavy bag now, your hand will balance just like it did before. But on the pad, you can feel and see it right away. That's why the very first professional setups always start with the pads. Not from the bag. There you go. That's already better. Stronger. Stronger. The way your hand came in, that's how it should go out. Bam, and the hand moves away. Bam, bam. There you go, slowly, slowly, come on. Let's start slowly. There you go. Stronger. There you go, squeeze. Stop. Now look, here's a slap, slap, slap. Can you hear it by the sound?
I hear it.
That's right. There are things you just miss completely. And there are things where you really get that slap sound. See, it should always make that slap. In other words, you see, the tension in your muscles at the very last moment should always come from a relaxed position, so that you get that snap, that stopping point of your strike. Well, it's a certain kind of technique, and it doesn't come right away. I mean,
Legs lack twist.
not enough not enough. Yeah, but you can clench your fist at the last moment, right? There are also these kinds of exercises, they're preparatory ones. Stick your arm out. Now bend your elbow a little. Yeah, that's it. See, this is the lever, this is the lever. Like this, you won't be able to press anything out. Press it out. Come on, press it out, press it out. Try to throw a punch so that your elbow is on top. Go ahead, try it. Yeah. Go on, try it. That's not a punch at all. Even if you really try hard, you just can't punch like that. Now, bring your elbow down here, downwards. And look, now your movement is like this.
But it's still a straight punch.
Yes, you're throwing a straight punch, just keep your elbow underneath, lower it. There you go. And now from here, slowly, calmly, gently extended. That's it.
Just
turn towards me. There, and the elbow goes down. That's it. Look at how the punch goes. Hold up the pad, hold up the pad. There, your arm is half bent. What if in a fight, I'm just pointing this out, what if in a fight suddenly your arm ends up down here and you don't know how to punch from this position? So you need to find this straight line. So what do? You just lift your elbow a little, not pulling it out to the side, just start raising it. See, and the punch comes out right. You can move your arm from here in any direction, but if your elbow stays in place, you'll still end up with the correct punching form. You see? If your elbow is positioned here, it will be much harder to do because you won't be able to apply pressure from the muscle perspective, from the striking muscles, from the whole stable part. That's why you pull the handle out here. And from here, you gather yourself. 1. See how it goes? The trajectory is a bit funny, but this way, like this, you'll hit much harder. You're being guided by your strongest muscles. The muscles in your back are very strong. That's basically the result, you could say. It's almost 90%. It's a rare case when you take even a teenager, one who hasn't trained yet, and you start positioning him. It's rare for everything in this system to work correctly for him right away. Now look, the hip system is a very tricky thing. Because if your shoulder rotates as much as possible, if you look at it like this, it comes out here. Then your hip goes just a bit. Well, it doesn't quite reach,
The leg also stays in place.
Watch. So for now, we're doing the system without the leg. This is the maximum extension of the hip. It's generally considered to be in a straight line. So if the plane is straight, your shoulder goes further, but the hip kind of stops here. It won't go any further. Sure, you can twist it more, but if you over-rotate it, then you won't be able to do the reverse movement because everything is in the hip. See? With the hip, the movement is shorter. Exactly half as much. So if you can throw your shoulders out fully, really extend your shoulder, the hip only goes halfway. And then for another half, or rather a quarter, your leg moves. I'm kind of jumping ahead a bit here, so you can already understand how the hip affects the rotation of the leg. Because in most cases, and I've come across this so often, half the country does this. And honestly, I used to do it myself, folding the leg all the way in. And only when you start reviewing your own fights, all these things become clear. Why didn't it work out? Why wasn't there the same precision as, for example, in training? Because this balance with the twisted leg doesn't allow you to do it. First of all, you also can't quickly reverse the movement if you over-rotate. You have to return to this form. Boxers very often, as a rule, they get out of this position. If he over-rotates his leg, he starts the movement from the other side to, restore this balance. If he over-rotates, he starts twisting again from here. Straight punch is very difficult for one simple reason. You see, everything we do involves rotation. And these rotations need to be stabilized very, very precisely in a straight line. So, once you go, there, the straight punch goes, that's it. So you get an increase in force, you move away from these rotational movements and switch to inclined movements. And the hardest part is to bring the rotational and inclined components to the same level. This is extremely, I'm telling you, this is very serious work, because you need to make sure there are no misalignments and that the strike comes straight from the hip, precisely. almost blindly. You see? That is, nothing twitches anywhere in my body. Why is that? Because the whole system is already rehearsed to such a degree. It's like, well, you eat with your right hand. You comb your hair with your right hand. You brush your teeth with your right hand. So it's that moment when, you do it almost unconsciously. That's the level it reaches. Yes, for you, this part, the first part is still out of balance. The second part of the hip, which you still don't know how to connect to the first part, that's the nuance here. So gradually, just move your hip out and drop your shoulder, as much as possible onto your leg. So you'll end up like this. And first of all, when you lift your elbow, your opponent already sees that movement. The hardest part, as I said, is making the strike unnoticeable. Good. One more time. Move your hip more boldly. You see, your hip is kind of stiff. Look at how it is. That's the maximum. And I'll tell you why you can't go further. Because you're stopping it right here. Again, I'm telling you, when you bend your legs just a little, watch what happens. See? That's you striking. You're striking with your hip. So if your legs are like this, how are you going to do it here? This system of yours just won't let you. Bend your legs a little. Then you can go from bent to straight with your legs. That's when it will go very quickly. See, that's the moment right there. There it is. You see the movement of the hip. There it is. That's it. The first and most basic exercise for developing the strike is the hip. It's when you do these twisting motions. When you start to move your hip all the way around, it's very simple. You can squat down, stand up, squat down, squat down, squat down, stand up, stand up, stand up. And now you're consciously doing gymnastics, which most guys think is just about building muscles. Boxing gymnastics. Boxing gymnastics, especially, well, at the very beginning, the very first exercises, it's all made up of preparatory movements. There's not a single unnecessary part in it. Now look, now with the shoulder. One, like this. No, yours just dropped down. I can't even do it like that. Well, once again, let me repeat. Let me say it again, Dim. Until you connect all your muscles into one knot so that you have this kind of unified motion, your shoulder will keep moving separately from your hip. Or, as they say, one part is always catching up with the other. That's a disadvantage for power. By the time one part catches up, by the time it adds force. That's why a boxer does it all at once, right from the load. All the links in the chain work together equally. The hip, the shoulder, or even the extensor. There you go. Here it is, see? I've already done this with a weight shift. Moreover, if I lower my hand now, where is it positioned? It's already on this side. I can start from here. Slowly. Slowly. See how it goes? Bam. Now this last part is exactly what I was telling you about. Why is this part the fastest? That is, with this final movement, you're already catching the balance between your shoulder and hip. You're catching it with the extensor. And if you haven't set up this part, you'll never be able to catch it. That's why the very first drill for delivering a powerful strike starts with the position of the hand. Then the hip. Well, in coordination between the hand and the hip so that your shoulder blade comes out. And only then does it start from the legs, where the transfer of body weight comes into play. But the transfer of body weight is the extreme point, which is already in your hip. In other words, the transfer of body weight begins in the hip. See, I've already shifted over. The leg, it accelerates. That's why, to strengthen your punch, you take, well, kind of a small step forward. Bam. You see? So, I can transfer my body weight without moving my hip, just leaning in like this. Right? Usually it works really well. When you go in with a jab, so with the jab, you see, you push in that direction. Here, the hip hardly rotates at all. See, it's already lined up with the push-off from the leg. See the second point? The second point is when you start to engage your hip. And here's a very interesting moment. This is when you need to twist. So you can twist first and then push off, or you can push off and twist at the end. Or you can start twisting at the same time as you push off with your leg. You need to understand these three phases because the moment of destabilization starts precisely in these definitions, when the leg and hip are connected. And this is still not even mentioning the arm yet. So right now, I'm specifically talking about the leg. The first part you do is the push-off. If your leg is positioned in the right direction, you already have the strike. That's why this leg, it kind of gathers momentum from the correct position in order to push forward. If your leg is positioned differently, you'll choose a different direction as well. Once again, there you go. Don't bend your arm, just keep your arm straight. Yes, and push it. Right, onto the heel. There you go, one more time. That's it. Yes, 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 yes. Now look, when you start to push, start rotating right away. Rotate your hip, your hip. Yes, good, one more time. See how your leg lifts up a lot? That's not a mistake. Although, well, in some descriptions, there shouldn't be any lifting off. It might turn out that when you fall, you'll already be choosing the correct position. So if your leg is pressed down too much, that's also bad. And if it lifts off too much, well, up to the toe, that's also bad. So there needs to be a balance here. If you look here, see how it is with me. See how it is. I start to push and the hip immediately turns. There it is, the short part of the strike. Bring it back. One. One. Are your legs bent? Yes. One pulled tight. If you stay here, you won't get a strong strike. That's why you need this forward movement. There are a lot of mistakes made right here because, well, most people start almost like this, almost hitting with a lean. That can also be powerful, but it's not as effective, not as fast. But here, look, you push and rotate at the same time. Like that. Exhale. Exhale. You're still not hitting. Like that. To the cheek. Like that. We will come back to the technique of the straight punch more than once because it's impossible to explain all the nuances in such a short time. So, guys, stay tuned. We'll make more episodes about the straight punch and how to make it stronger. Today we just barely lifted the veil on this topic. These are really interesting moments. Once you can do them yourself, you can also explain them. Without this, until you can explain to yourself what the problem is, usually you won't have confidence in your movement. And here's a very important point. The key to confidence in Adao, your punch, is hours of training because each component is developed both together and separately. That's why there are so many exercises for developing striking technique. It's not just 1, 2, or 3 exercises. There are entire groups of exercises, whole sets. So follow us and make use of them. Thank you. Wishing everyone kindness and love.